What's up, guys? This is going to be a deck profile for Fairy Zombies. Before I start in the deck profile, I just want to thank you guys all for 1,000 subscribers. So I was able to get monetized over the weekend. So I'm very thankful and grateful that you guys nominated me to be your entertainer and also be your content provider for future Edison format videos. In the future, I'll also be doing a series as well, so stay tuned for that. A lot of the series is going to be coming out. I have a lot signed up for the next season, so just call it a season if you want. For this particular deck profile, I decided to choose to show you guys a zombie fairy deck list. It's very similar to a chaos fairy deck list, except it plays different type of engines. So the engine that I'm going to be going for is the zombie engine rather than playing the simply the battle faders and the kais. So I'll show you guys my deck profile now. So the main card or the main recruiter in this deck is Mystic Tomato. The Mystic Tomato has a lot of applications, namely because it's a dark monster, but it also allows you to stick a monster that's pretty much able to bring into a Sangan. So the Sangan is going to be the main component to get off the Mystic Tomato. The reason why you want to be able to get the Sangan is because Sangan allows you to search for all the other cards in your deck, including the Fairy Engine. But yeah, this is a very important part of the deck. So the Tomato into a Sangan, and then you can do a lot of things with that on the following turn. So that's kind of like the whole concept of this deck is to be able to go tomato into a Sangan. But sometimes if you already have the Sangan in hand, you can also go into a Gale. Gale is also good, so they can go into Armor Master and Arm Wing in this deck. So I highly suggest playing Gale just because it also allows you to run over a Monarch and a Stardust too. So it has a lot of applications and it's also a Dark Monster. It also allows you to have 3 Darks in the graveyard easily because you can just synchro with this Sangan with the Gale, and then your tomato in the graveyard would be 3 Darks, so that you'll have your Dark Arm. It's a very small little engine that I like, and it's very simple as well. So yeah, having the level 3 synchro or the level 3 tuner allows you to play into level 7 synchros often, and level 6 with Sangan. The other monster that I can play into the tomato line is the Spirit Reaper. So Spirit Reaper is a very good card to bait out a back row. If you summon it, it baits out Torrential. If you attack with it, it baits out Mirror Force and Deep Prison. So really good dark lineup, just like it is in Edison, mainly. I don't play Market the Rose, even though it is a plant monster, so I just don't think Market the Rose needed in this deck. It has enough good targets. I mean, this deck is already good on its own without needing to use Market the Rose. But yeah, the other card that you can also go into if you drew your Sangan is the Goblin Zombie. So I only play one Goblin Zombie, even though most zombie lists do play 2 Goblin Zombie. The only reason why I only play one is just because I want to tutor it off the tomato. And these are the only 2 monsters in the game that if it's sent to the graveyard, you get to mandatory search. So in the Edison format, I'm sorry. So in the Edison format, these are the only 2 cards that get a search if mandatorily, if you tribute summon it or if you synchro summon it. So that's why I play these 2 cards in my deck. So that I can tutor cards out of my deck that I need. This pretty much enables all of the zombie engine to be accessed from your deck. So if you synchro summon with this or tribute summon this for Caius, you're able to allow you to see cards out of your deck and then pretty much make it Caius a +1 as opposed to a -1 because you're or as a neutral, because if you tribute off any monster besides the Goblin Zombie, what happens is you're neutraling because you're taking a card away from your opponent, but you're also taking a card away from yourself. But since you're playing the Goblin Zombie and the Sangan, if you tribute off any of these monsters, the Caius becomes a +1. That's my theory behind that. But ideally, you want to sacrifice the Sangan because with the Caius, and then you'll be able to search for the Fairy Engine. Another card you can go into is the Plague Spreader Zombie. This is really good because it is a zombie deck, but Plague Spreader Zombie, it belongs to every dark deck nowadays just because it's able to synchro summon twice. Using it as a tuner, synchro summoning it with any level 4s allows you to top deck and then make a level 8 synchro. So definitely a staple, especially in dark synchro decks. So Value Turbo is another example of that. But you can also play this in Lightsworn, but that's neither here nor there. The Mystic Tomato is pretty much your main recruiter to see these 5 cards. And then the other, so now we're gonna go into the zombie engine that wasn't mentioned, and it's gonna be Mizuki and Zombie Master. Just because the Mizuki allows you to extend further if you make the Brio play, the Brainiac play. If you just have the Goblin Zombie out there, you can summon any tuner, including Plague Spreader Zombie. A tuner that I do play in this deck besides the Plague Spreader is going to be the Herald of Orange Light. This allows you to make sure that the deck synergizes really well together, being able to synchro summon as well as use Herald of Orange Light's ability to act as a hand trap, a very powerful hand trap to basically negate and destroy any effect monsters that might come up. So I believe that that is the zombie engine. The zombie master allows you to basically pretty much push your plays in a little bit. So the following turn, if you do search him, you can just normal summon him and pretty much discard any card to fill up the lights to the graveyard. So sometimes you'll need a fourth light monster or a light fairy monster in your graveyard in order to special summon Christia. I do play Christie as a spoiler, but yeah, we'll get to that point. But this allows you to pretty much fill up the graveyard for certain cards or certain attributes. So that's a very small zombie line. It's just basically Goblin Zombie, Plague Spreader, and Speed Reaper. That's what I really like about the zombie engine is like it's 5 cards. That's what I really like about it. I contemplating playing the second copy of Goblin Zombie, but I just don't think it's necessary. Just because you never want to draw into Goblin Zombie, it's just a card that you want to get from the Mystic Tomato. So that's pretty much all my dark line. The boss monsters, sorry, there's more darks. The boss monsters in the deck is Dark Armad Dragon, so obviously you need that. Not much explanation. It's a free summon that you can play that allows you to pretty much win the game. And it also gains a lot of value by destroying all your opponent's cards. And I really like the reason why I play this deck is because Chaos Sorcerer. I think Chaos Fairies just needed some consistent way to put darks in the graveyard, and the current formulation of Chaos Fairies requires that you have a Battle Fader. Play the Battle Fader engine, and I don't agree with that because Battle Fader gets banished from the field if it's used up, and so you're left with playing Caius. And if Caius never gets summoned on the field, pretty much Chaos Sorcerer is dead in that variation of Chaos Fairies. So in this variation of Chaos Fairies that plays a zombie line, you're more likely to have darks in your graveyard as well as lights to be able to special summon the Chaos Sorcerer. I think Chaos Sorcerer is an amazing card. The only weakness that it has is Deep Sea Diva. When they make a magical android, android can just run over this just by normal summoning. So that's the only downside of Chaos Sorcerer. But the upside is often really good with the Chaos Sorcerers because with Chaos Sorcerer, you can just simply just banish a card on the main phase. A lot of recruiters require that the monsters be sent to the graveyard by battle, but this pretty much circumvents that. And additionally, it's also a level 6 Dark monster, so any level 2 monster along with the Chaos Sorcerer can make a Dark End Dragon to pretty much make another form of removal, and then that's why I like the Chaos Sorcerer engine. And Plague Spreader is not going to be my only level 2 Synchro tuner monster, so then I also play the Orange Light as well. So a lot of synergy with the Dark and Light, as it should, as you're playing the Chaos engine. The other boss monster I play is Caius. I only play 2 because Chaos Fairies just needs to have 2 Caius. I don't think you need any more than 2. I thought about playing a third copy. It's just that it gets kind of clunky sometimes. You want to be able to resolve the Tomato, but Tomato is the only one that gets you a card that you want to sacrifice because if you set the fairy monsters that are recruiters, the recruiter monsters don't get you into a Sangan like floater effect or a floater monster. So I don't want that to be a thing where if I have Caiuses and the fairy floater, I wouldn't be able to utilize Caius as a +1 as opposed to the others. So that's why I only play 2 Caius. The other boss monster is Gores. There's not much to be said about Gores in this format. I think it's just a staple for most decks nowadays, except for Blackwings. But even Blackwings does have like variations where you are playing Gores, and it's just a really good monster just to beat over a lot of monsters without committing too much resources. So yeah, that's the dark line. Let's go into the fairy line. And the reason why I love this line is because I get to play Christia. Christia in the fairy line is pretty much what you need against most decks. So ideally, you want to be able to set up a board where you have like really big synchro monsters on the field, and then you slam Christia, and now they have to deal with your synchro and Christia, and that's pretty much game for the most part. And Christia also allows you to get a +1 when she's summoned to the field. I think it's a she. When she's summoned to the field, you're able to get Herald of Orange Light or Honest back to your hand. And I play a very small Chaos line or a very small Fairy line. So I do play the three Nova Summoners and one Shiny Angel. The reason why it's inverse, where the other list where you play three Shiny Angel and one Nova Summoner, is because I want to have the monster be special summon in defense mode as opposed to summoning in attack mode. So the Nova Summoner allows me to have that option to pretty much play it in defense mode if I need to. But yeah, and so this fairy line pretty much means that you can just crash all your Nova Summoners and go into a Shiny Angel, and then the Shiny Angel can either get into a Cyber Valley or even an Honest. But Honest can also be fetched by this. So really, I only played the Shiny Angels to get into the Cyber Valley. But when you go through all the four fairies after crashing, you can special summon Christia, and then you're allowed to just play the game. If you end on a Cyber Valley, you can also just mind control your opponent's monster that you just kept crashing your fairies into, and by doing so, you can just banish the Cyber Valley from the field and your opponent's monster to get to draw into two cards and hopefully draw into the Christia because you've thinned out your deck. Ideally, that's what's going to happen. Um, Another trick that you can do with Cyber Valley, and not a lot of people do this, is that you can use I believe it's the third effect of this, where if you normal summon Cyber Valley, you could banish this and another card from your hand. It has to be a monster, I believe. No, it just could be any card. So you can banish this in any card, and then you can put a card from your graveyard back on top of your deck. So if you're finding that you pretty much loaded your graveyard with 5 fairies or 6 fairies, Cyber Valley can just take out a fairy out of your graveyard and put it back on top of the deck so that you can just special summon Christia. That's a cool little trick you can do. This also fills up your return target just by normal summoning. So if you like want to just banish this and another monster, your return has like 2 targets you can bring out. And then when you return and you bring out Cyber Valley, you can just use the other effect of Cyber Valley and just draw cards. So there's a lot of neat little tricks you can do with the Cyber Valley and return. But yeah, that's the fairy line. Besides that, you have to be playing Herald of Orange Light if you're playing the fairy line. Even though you're playing at such a small amount of fairies, I don't play Dimensional Alchemist. I don't think you need it in this deck particular, just because Dimensional Alchemist is typically played for decks that like to grind turn by turn. This is not a grind deck. This is more of like a mid-range like aggro deck where you just rush down your opponent by using combo, and then you just slam Christia down and then back up Christia with Herald of Orange Light. So sometimes Fairy, like all big decks that play Synchro monsters, all lose to like the same type of monsters, which is uh, pretty much Caius. So Caius, Ryza, or any card that just like ignores all the synchro summon. Pretty much you can just herald it, and that's kind of the idea behind this. Is that if you can just build a board and have herald to back up your monsters on the field, you're in a winning position. But also, I do play Herald of Greenlight. I only play one copy just because Sangan can search for this card, and that's really good because Brain Control is often an out to steal the Christia and then sacrifice Christia for whatever, like Caius or whatever. And so if that's going to be a threat, you could just Herald of Green Light the Brain Control, and then they're back to trying to figure out how to beat the Archlord Christia. But yeah, I think that's pretty much the fairy line. It's a really cool deck in theory, just because you're able to use Archlord Christia as like sort of like a Vanity's Emptiness back in Dragon Lore format. If you guys don't know what it is, you pretty much set a board, and then you just slam Christia at the end of it, and then Christia pretty much acts as a Vanity's Emptiness, and so you just pretty much lock out your opponent. And I love that Christia is able to be special summoned on main phase 2 and just lock out the game that way. But yeah, that's my light fairy lineup, light/fairy lineup. Let's go into the other monsters. Yeah. So I think how many monsters is that? 5, 10, 15, 20, 27. Wow, that's a lot of monsters. Yeah, 27 monsters. So if you're playing a monster heavy deck, you're going to be pretty much being aggressive with your opponent. The spell cards I play is Spell and Trap Removal, MST, and Heavy Storm. Not much to say about it. MST is really good just because you can hit Black Whirlwind. But other than that, it hits Oppression too in the main deck. I don't have much outs to Oppression, except I do play other cards. I'll show you guys later. I do play the standard spell cards. If you're playing Chaos Fairies, is the Brain Control, Mind Control, and the Allure. Just because you can steal monsters and then Synchro Summon with them. Because you do play a lot of tuners, including the Herald of Orange Light, Gale, and Plague. That's all for my spell trap lineup. So the main reason I find this deck kind of weird is that I do play Ultimate Offering. Ultimate Offering is pretty cool. The idea behind Ultimate Offering is if you set Tomato. So I'll just give you guys an example here. If you set Tomato here and they attack over it, like let's say you have this. Sorry, it's like this from my opponent's side. Let's say that you attack over it and you get a Sangan off of it, right? In the battle phase, you can literally go flip Ultimate Offering, and then you can just tribute off the Kais, or you can tribute off the Sangan, and then pretty much summon the Kais. And this allows you to just basically interact on your opponent's turn. You can banish the card that attacked your tomato, and then you can also get a Sangan search, and so you're able to generate a +1. In other instances where Ultimate Offering is really good is if they like Kais your tomato, right? Your tomato can get the like let's say you take 1,000, right? You can just flip Ultimate Offering in the battle phase, and then you can just set your Nova Summoner, and then you have another way of chump blocking where if they do decide to attack, you have another way to like go into it. But ideally, if you have two tomatoes and Ultimate Offering, tomato pretty much means that it's always going to try to resolve because of the Ultimate Offering, and it pretty much makes it so that your engine flows pretty smoothly. And on your turn, you can just pretty much go wide and try to kill them as quickly as possible. That's what I like about Ultimate Offering, and that's why I play it in recruiter decks. A trap card I do play is Dust Tornado. A very underlooked trap card in this format, just because you're playing the Ultimate Offering engine. You could just like Dust Tornado somebody and then set the Ultimate Offering, and then flip it on your turn and then be able to do stuff. But also this plays really well with the return as well. If you want to protect your return from a heavy storm, actually this doesn't protect you against heavy storm because you have to set something. But if you want to if you want to like protect your return, you could just simply Dust Tornado something. If they MST the back row. Let's say they just MST the Dust Tornado, you chain Dust Tornado target the MST. On resolution, you could just set the return. And then for next turn, if you have like a play you can do, you could just do all your play with your zombie engine, and then you just go return, and then you have like you pretty much have game. So that's why I like this little combo over here. You can probably up the Dust Tornado up to 2 if you're depending on what matchup it is. But yeah, I play the Call of the Haunted too, just because you're playing the Sangan and also the Goblin Zombie. So the Goblin Zombie, along with the Call of the Haunted, has synergy where if they MST it or Dust Tornado it or destroy it, or whatever means necessary, and you just chain it, you could just get the Sangan and search for like a Herald of Orange Light, and then you have some form of defense. That's what I really like about the Call of the Haunted here. But in other instances, Call of the Haunted, sometimes when you synchro summon with a target, you pretty much it'll stick to the field because the monster has to be destroyed. So it'll stick to the field, and then you can just summon a Bryanak and bounce back to Call the Haunted, and then you have a Call the Haunted set again, so you can just do stuff. That's really what I really like about Call the Haunted. And then of course I just play the monsters interaction cards like Bottomless and Torrential. I think since Blackwing's just one of the best decks in this format, you're gonna need something to pretty much interact with Black Whirlwind and Shura Summon, even a Boros Summon. So this allows you to pretty much interact and make Black Whirlwind basically a neg 1. Because the card itself is not generating any value until they have to normal summon again. So that's kind of the idea why you play Bottomless Trap Hole, and I also play Torrential. Torrential is really good because you do play floater monsters such as these two. If I did play Dimensional Alchemist, this would be more reason why you should include the Torrential. But I couldn't find room for Dimensional Alchemist in my 4 card deck. But yeah, that's pretty much the main deck. Yeah, it's really good. I'll show you guys my side deck. I know that was pretty crazy how I set up my stuff. So let's go to the extra deck real quick. Level 6 Synchros, I play these two. You're going to need Bryo just because the combo play is in Goyo because it's the best level 6 monster aside from Bryo. Then we have Armwing and Urquasis. So you're going to need some way to pierce through the token against quick draw Danny Warrior decks. So any deck that just puts tokens in defense mode, you're going to need some way to pierce them. This is also good against Frog Monarch sometimes too, or if they leave a Battle Fader out there, you can just have some way of piercing. The cool thing about the Armwing and the Armor Master is that the Gale can go into these two just by needing the non-tuner to be anything. So that's what I like about these. It's very splashable. Another cards I play in level 5s are going to be the Android and the Catastor. You're going to need these so that you could pretty much, with the Android, you can set up a play where you can just synchro summon the Sangan with a tuner and then search for an Honest. And then Android can do 2400 direct damage. And then we have Catastor that allows you to attack over any monster. But you're going to need the level 5 synchros at least, and these are just as enough. Um, and then I play Armory Arm. Armory Arm shouldn't be here. It's just there because for space filler, but I would probably cut it for maybe a Chimera tech. I don't play Cyber Dragon in the side deck or the main deck, so I'm kind of toying around with it a little bit. But this should ideally be a Chimera tech so that you can at least have a good Machina matchup. So just consider that as a choice. The zombie line, I play the Revive King Hades. That's pretty much the only zombie line. I like Revive King Hades because you can interact with recruiters, but also you can revive this off of Mizuki. So that's always a plus. Yeah, the Revive King is really good. You're gonna need Dark Ant just because you play the Chaos Engine, the Chaos Sorcerer, and then the Plague Spreader Zombie, or the Herald of Orange Light. Really good card just because you can just send off a card and you don't have to worry about it. It's really good because in some fields they'll have like 3 monsters. The Chaos Sorcerer can just banish a card that's face up on the field, and then you can just go Dark Ant, attack over a monster for 26, and then main phase 2 reduces to 500 attack, and then send over the last monster. So Dark End just has a lot of applications in Edison, and I just don't think you should definitely play Dark End in a Chaos Fairy deck. Stardust for Starlight Road. I do side decks I do side Starlight Road, but in other instances, Stardust is just an amazing card. Just have it stuck out there for most matchups. Thought Roller just for you can gain life points, and Mistworm, Colossal Fighter, and Black Rose. Black Rose there because I play the Gale. But yeah, these are the staple level 8 synchros. There's a lot of applications. Mistworm's probably cuttable as well, but there are plays where you can just make the Mistworm just because you played level 3s with Spirit Reaper and level 4 and any level 2 level tuner. You can make a Mistworm. But yeah, that's the extra deck. Let's go into the side deck. That side deck is very versatile. You can just change it up depending on how the format's shaping out to be. I play Dust Tornado just for any spell and trap removal. For like if they side like an oppression, you can hit that. You can hit the oppression. I play the Pulsodine and the Grand Mole, searchable by Sangan, and then if you play the Ultimate Offering, if you have the Ultimate Offering, you can just start doing a lot of ridiculous stuff with Grand Mole. You can just if they started off slow and they require that their Raikou resolve or their Hamster resolve, you can just keep normal summoning Grand Mole, bounce it back, use the Ultimate Offering obviously to make your plays, and then just normal summon the Grand Mole and just bounce it back and then attack with everybody else. You can do the same concept with the Falsodyna. Sometimes you can on your opponent's battle phase, you can just set this, and then if they attack into it, they lose all their special summon monsters. That's why I play Pachycephalo, searchable by Sangan. So this is why I play only one copy of each. Yeah. I also play Chain Disappearance. Frogs is getting a lot more playability now. So Substitute, if they don't call priority on the Substitute to tribute, or if they do call priority and they tribute summon a different monster, you could just Chain Disappearance and then they would lose all their Substitute. And they wouldn't be able to tribute anymore because it's only spell speed 1. So yeah, this also gives you hand knowledge too. So if you hit a target where not all the targets are accounted for, so let's say Treeborn Frog is a very popular example of that. If they bring out Treeborn Frog and you go Chain Disappearance on Treeborn Frog and they only banish the Treeborn Frog, 2 Treeborn Frogs total, then you can basically have free hand knowledge. You can look at their hand, and free hand knowledge is really good against Frog Monarchs because you can pretty much sniff out if they have a Battle Fader, and if they don't have a Battle Fader, you can just pretty much go OTK with this deck, pretty easy. But yeah, with Frogs being dominant now, I would probably consider playing this in most decks as a side deck. This deck really falls really hard to dragons, especially Quakumaru Dragon. So you're gonna need electric viruses. That much I agree with. You can basically steal any monster or any you can steal the Quackimar Drago, or you can even steal the Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon and attack over the Quackimar Drago. But in case you steal the Quackimar Dragon, you can just use any level two suit. You can use any level two tuner to synchro summon with the Quackimar Drago and make lots of different level six as you guys seen. But in other instances, you can like steal a Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon, attack over the Quackimar Drago, sacrifice the Quackimar Drago, or sacrifice the Red MD to summon Caius and banish the other cards. You can do a lot of different things with Electrovirus. It's just basically acting as a third, three more brain controls against dragons. Don't I probably wouldn't side this against Dragon Turbo just because they try to kill you in one turn. So just be wary of that. But for like other matchups where it's like a more grindier version of dragons, definitely side the Electric Virus. And then we side the Mind Crush for the one of. Too many applications for Mind Crush, but mostly for Blackwings. So you can just call whatever they searched, or Colute or Honest. You can pretty much call that too. Starlit Road for both Blackwings and Lightsworns in case they try to blow up your back row. You can just bring out Stardust. Against Blackwings, you're going to need a side Consecrated Light. I only said one. I only need it because Nova Summoner can put this in defense mode and then pretty much shut off Blackwings' plays. So that's what I like about this. I often side the Road and the Consecrated Light together, so you can just play around Blackwings' Icarus attack, and then you have the Consecrated Light be protected. For the anti-deck devastation virus, so most of the decks in today's format, such as Vayu Turbo, relies that they go Greffer, discard Sirocco, and ditch Vayu. You're gonna need some way to interact with that play so they don't deck devastation virus you, because if they deck devastation virus you, you auto lose. So you're gonna need some way to like interact on your opponent's basically, you need a way to stop deck devastation virus without directly negating deck devastation virus, if that makes any sense. Because ideally, that's what's going to happen. They're gonna use Greffer to ditch the Sirocco and make a first turn arm wing. And so if you have DD Crow in your side deck, you can just like crow the value, and then they wouldn't have any arm wing. So that's my thought process behind citing DD Crow. And then I played Deck Devastation Virus because it's an auto win card. And so since you are playing zombies as well as Caiuses and Greffer and Chaos Sorcerer, you have all the incentive to be able to use Deck Devastation Virus and auto win against a lot of matchups. Like I said, the side deck is definitely interchangeable depending on how the format shapes out to be. So it's like if you guys have like a meta that you're trying to prepare for, maybe cut out like this is good against a lot of different decks, but maybe you can cut out these two for Nolban a crossout. If you think that a lot of decks are setting Raikos and setting Hamsters, Nolban a crossout is just a spell card that you don't have to wait till you have a ultimate offering. This is just for cutesy play with the ultimate offering. But that's pretty much it. I think that's if you have a heavy Blackwing meta in your locals, probably side a second copy of Consecrated Light for something. But I just don't know. But definitely, since frogs are basically on the rise again, I would probably consider playing this in the side deck as a choice. But yeah, that's my fairy zombie deck list. I'm gonna post like a different video where I show you guys gameplays of fairy zombies. It's relatively good for a deck that's like pretty strange in concept. So we'll see if you guys like it. I'm gonna do some commentary videos on that particular one too as well. It's gonna be dueling book replays. I didn't have enough time to play it in IRL events, just because I'm a content creator. But yeah, check it out. See if you guys like this deck just to see what the gameplay's like, and see if you can consider playing this deck for future events. But yeah, for now, I'll sign out. Thank you guys for watching, and then I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace.